Hey guys, this is Kenny from FoxFit Personal Training Studio. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to use bands to do a full body workout. So I'm going to show you different exercises that you can use these bands for your full body, for each body part. I prefer this style of band that doesn't have any handles because the handle could then be anywhere. They're a lot more versatile. You can do a lot more with this type of band. You can find them on Amazon. There's a ton of different brands that are just like these, but they're simple and super effective. Let's get to work. All right. So first thing, I always like to start off with a prime lower body movement. So we're going to start with a squat. So basic setup for a squat is, and I like to do the green band, but you could do any of these bands. You could combine bands too. So on any of these movements, if it's not hard enough, you could combine bands. So I could do green and black together. I'm going to show you just the green right now. So you're going to get in a stance with your feet a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Little awkward to get into the setup. You're going to put it around your neck just like that and stand up tall. Toes are a little bit pointed out, and I'm just going to squat down to parallel and come back up. We're going to shoot for 8 to 12 reps, and on all of these exercises, we're going to do one RIR. RIR stands for reps in reserve. So you should go almost to failure with the band. It's very safe exercises. You can push pretty hard on all of these exercises, going about 1 to failure. When you feel like you can maybe do one more, that's when you stop. And I would say on all these exercises, if you get to 15 reps or so, and you feel pretty good, then it's time to up the band resistance and add more bands or go to a thicker band. So we're gonna do squats here, going all the way till you feel like you can't do one more. So I'll show you from the side setup here. Trying to drop low, keeping the heels on the ground, keeping a flat lower back. Try not to come up on our toes at all. Just like that. So you'll do one set there, and from the squat, I like to go right to a good morning. A good morning is our primary hip hinge exercise. So we're gonna hinge at the hips and lean forward, closing that car door with the butt. That's what I always say. You bring your hips back and close the car door with your butt. Imagine you're carrying groceries in, you can't shut that with your hands, you gotta close it with your butt. Keep that lower back flat, and then come back up. You should feel a really good stretch in your hamstrings at the bottom, keeping that chest out, that butt out too, and then bringing it all the way to the top. Should feel a good squeeze in your glutes at the top, good stretch in the hamstrings at the bottom. That's our primary hinging exercise. And then you could take a break, and I want you to do 3 sets of up to 15, like I said, 1 RIR, 1 rep in reserve on these. And then you can go back and forth with a little bit of a break in between. So 3 sets, 1 RIR, going from squats into a set of good mornings where you're hinging at the hips, keeping that lower back flat. So you'll do 3 sets there. So that's the primary leg movements that we're doing. The shoulder work, I always like to start with a heavy compound. So I'm going to go with the purple band, and we're going to just do a simple yet effective overhead press where we're stepping on the band. We're going to bring it right up to our shoulders, and we're going to press straight overhead right there, like that. So my hands are a little bit wider than my shoulders. I can press straight overhead right there. Same thing, we're going to do 1 RIR on this movement. If you get to 15, it's time to move to a thicker band or combined bands. Here. So we're just pressing straight overhead, right like that. Should feel a good burn in your triceps and your shoulders on that one. I'm going to show you a side view of that one. So stepping on the band. Another trick I'm going to show you. If maybe you don't have a thicker band to make it harder, you could make it harder in different ways. So I'm going to show you a little trick here. I could pull it up between my feet. That makes the band tighter. Now that's going to be a lot tougher for me. So that is a way on all of these exercises. I could have done that on squats. I could have pulled that up there. And that's a way to make it tougher too. So I'm going to show you the side angle here. I'm going to bring it up to my shoulders and press straight overhead like that. Bringing your head through the window is what they call it on the way right there. You bring your head forward a little bit. Try to get that full extension at the top. So that's our primary shoulder movement. We're going to superset that with 2 other shoulder movements that I really like. So in the overhead press, we're primarily getting our front delts with a little bit of our mid delts. Now we're going to get our rear delts. So the back of your shoulder, we're going to do a band pull apart. And I like to use the red one on this. And I only like to even just use one side. So kind of have a big smiley face here. And you're going slow and controlled. Have your palms facing each other. And this is a higher rep one. This should be actually 15 to 20. So this is one that's it's okay to go past that 15 mark. And you should be feeling a good burn. You're keeping your arms straight, palms facing each other. You're pulling that band all the way so it hits you right in the sternum, right there. If it's feeling too easy, you can move your hands closer together. If it's too tough, you can move your hands further apart. And just be a pretty controlled motion. That smiley face should stay there. It shouldn't be jerking around like that. It should be slow and controlled motion, shooting for 15 and 20. So you're going from overhead press right to the band pull aparts. From the band pull aparts after that, if you have a place to anchor a band, I like to go the small orange one. You could also do the red one on this one. You're shooting for about 15 reps. So I anchored it right down here so you'd anchor to somewhere low, and you're going to do a band lateral raise. So hands should start kind of right in front of your pelvis, and you should just raise that arm. You should feel a good burn in the side delt on this one. Shooting for about 15 reps with that 1 rep in reserve, and then you would switch sides and do the other side. And then you would rotate through those shoulder exercises 3 times, shooting for the reps that I gave you in that, and that's a full shoulder workout, working the front, medial, and rear deltoid. After that, so for our chest portion, we're going to do push-ups, and for a lot of people, they could do 30, 40 push-ups in one go. You're only really building muscle until you could do 30 reps. Once you get past 30 reps, you need to add some resistance. So I'm going to show you a way that you could add a band. So I'm just going to bring it around my back. I like to do the purple one for push-ups. And I'm going to have it like this. I'm going to go down in push-up position here and lower myself to the ground and then press up through that band. Right like that. So that's making it a decent amount tougher. You could also combine bands on that one or go thicker if it's feeling too easy. So you should be shooting for about that 15 mark or less on that if you can do it. So you might even be at bodyweight push-ups, or you might even be at modified push-ups where you're on your knees. Right here, keeping a straight line from your shoulders to your knees if you're doing the modified version. But then you would graduate to regular push-ups, then you would graduate to using a band, kind of like I showed you. So you would shoot for 3 reps of that, taking about a minute in between reps on the push-ups there. After the push-ups, you would go, we're going to do a little bit of back work. So this one, you got to be very careful. So we're going to do our rows here. This is our primary pulling exercise with our upper body. And you're going to bring that band and have it right at your feet. You want to be very careful. So I like to point my toes down, and that band's not going to slip. If your toes are pointed up, or if that band's coming up to your toes, it could slip and you could pull yourself up in the face and it could kind of whip you in the face. So you want to be very careful of that and wear it. So tuck them really low, keep those feet grounded. I like to, like I said, I like to point my toes forward, and I like to start with my palms facing down, and I'm going to rotate them so they're facing neutral, or my palms are going to be facing each other at the end of that motion. So watch me, I'm going to pull right here. I'm pulling my thumbs to the bottom of my chest. I'm bringing my hands all the way forward at the beginning of the movement, pulling them all the way back. This is super good movement for posture. And you're going to do 3 sets of 8 to 15 reps, I would say, on that, shooting for that 1 RIR. If you want to make it a little bit tougher on this one, this is a very good one to have an isometric hold at the end of the position here. So I'm going to pull, I'm going to squeeze those shoulder blades together like that, about 4 seconds, and then slowly let them back in and do that one more time. So you can see, keep your shoulders down on this one. A lot of people want to shrug up on this one. You want to keep them down. And you're just pulling back, right, like that. So that's more of our horizontal pulling motion where you're pulling towards you. We're going to do a vertical pulling motion where you're pulling down towards your body. So I'm going to show you right here. So I have this anchored to a pull-up bar. You can get creative and anchor it to something in your house, in your garage, whatnot. And it's like a lat pull down if you've ever done a lat pull down. I'm going to pull these down right to my armpits right there. Same rep range. You're shooting for 8 to 15 reps with 1 rep in reserve. If that's feeling too easy, you could go to a thicker band. You can combine bands on this one. You could grab a little bit higher. If that's feeling too easy for me and my hands were here, I could grab a little bit higher. That's going to make it tougher. Make sure you have a really solid anchor so you don't pull it down on yourself. And you're pulling your hands right down to your armpits. This is another one where you can squeeze for 4 seconds at the bottom and then slowly let up. Bring it down, squeeze at the bottom, and slowly let up. This is a great at-home one you can do if you can't do pull-ups. A great lat workout. You can get stronger at this and then eventually be able to do pull-ups is kind of the goal. So if you can't do pull-ups currently, that's a great one to work on. If you can do pull-ups, then by all means you do pull-ups on a bar as well. All right, so now we're going to go everybody's favorite. We're going to do a little bit of arm work here. We're going to start with a standard bicep curl. So I'm going to step on that band. I'm going to have my hands supinated, so that means my palms facing up. My elbows are locked into place right here, and I'm just going to curl. I'm going to show you from the side. My elbows are not moving. You don't want to flare them forward like that. They're locked in at your side, and you just bring those hands up. Really trying to squeeze and focus on that bicep as you're going through this motion. And if that's too easy, as always, you can add more resistance. This is another good one where you can pull that band up in the middle of your feet. That's going to make it tougher. Now that made that a lot tougher. I'd say that added 10 more pounds of resistance. So really squeezing the biceps there. That's a good, probably the best one you can do for your biceps with the bands. I'm going to show you another one from our anchor point over here. This is going to be for your triceps, so the back of the arm. And this is just going to be a standard tricep press down. So I'm going to grab them, and it's the reverse of the motion that we just did. We were just curling up. Now we're going to have our elbows locked in place, and we're going to be going down. Good. So I can bring my elbows into place, and I'm going to go straight down, right in front of me, like that, really squeezing the triceps. That feels too easy, so I'm going to raise my hands up, bring those elbows down, and then really just focus on using those triceps. Focus on not bringing those elbows out of place. They are stuck, so they're not coming up here every time. They're stuck at your sides, just moving at that elbow joint, just squeezing that tricep. If you don't have an anchor point, that's okay. We can still work your triceps. A lot of people don't know about this one or don't think you can work your triceps unless you have an anchor point, but you actually can with bands. So it's a little bit awkward to get into, but I'm going to bring this up, kind of like we're doing overhead press. I'm going to bring it over my head, and I'm going to squeeze my triceps up in the air like that. So keeping those elbows kind of right above my head on the sides and squeezing at the top right there. So that's another one you could do for your triceps. So I would choose one of those, and I would definitely include the curls in there. So after all those band exercises, I like to always include with clients, I always like to include a single leg option for an exercise. And for most people, your body weight alone on a single leg exercise would be enough. So the most simple is just a split squat. So you're standing here. I want to drop that knee to the ground and stand back up. So that's kind of the most basic version. I would say if you get 15 and it feels pretty easy for the split squats, let's raise that back foot. So I'm going to show you in here. So this is a Bulgarian split squat. Some people call it a rear foot elevated split squat. Bulgarian split squat, I think the Bulgarian in there makes it sound a little bit cooler. Everyone likes that. So I'm going to have that back foot up there, and I'm going to drop down right here. So you're getting a lot more range of motion, a lot more weight is on this front leg, and I'm going to press up. So that makes it significantly tougher. You could also do a single leg box squat, and then you could even use a chair at your house for this, where you're going to sit down, you're going to have one foot up, and you're just going to stand up right there, slowly return to that bench, and then come back up. So on all of those exercises, you could do 8 to 15 reps would be kind of that golden range for the band pull parts. You're shooting for 20. 3 sets of everything, and on some of those body parts you can superset them, so you can go from exercise to exercise and then rest in between rounds of those. And then as always, keep 1 rep in reserve. So you can go almost to failure, but you want to push pretty hard, especially with the bands. If you're going to slightly higher repetitions, you want to make sure that you're pushing really hard and almost going to failure so you can grow muscles. And you can absolutely get fit without a gym if you use resistance bands. All right, so give that workout a shot.